Om. 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 Sahana bhavatu. Sahanau bhunaktu. Sahaviryam karavavahai. Tejasvinavaditamastu. Ma vidvishavahai. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om peace, peace, peace unto us all.
Sai Ram, welcome to the Sri Sathya Sai Center of Arcadia, and a very, very special welcome to our guest speaker from Atlanta, Georgia, Sister Anu Venkateswaran. Sai Ram, Anu, and thank you so much for being with us tonight. We are all in for a very lovely treat today. I think most of us have heard Sister Anu speaking. She is wonderful, so we are very, very excited. Let me read her bio, and then Anu, I'll let you take over. Anu Venkateswaran was born into a family that has been in Swami's fold since 1964. Anu went through the Bal Vikas SSC program in Chennai, India, and graduated from the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur Campus, with a bachelor's degree in physics. After moving to the United States, she continued to be actively involved in the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization. Currently, Anu serves as the devotional coordinator for Region 3. She is also a Group 4 SSE teacher and center president of the Sathya Sai Center of Northeast Atlanta. During the pandemic, Anu has had the unique opportunity to share her experiences virtually in several different continents. During these sessions, she has felt the universality of Swami's love through his devotees. And before I hand it over to you, Anu, I just wanted to let all of you know, we've been frequently talking about Sathya Sai, the Eternal Companion. Please go to Volume 1, Issue 6. Sister Anu has written a beautiful, beautiful article. It's called Mother Sai, My Eternal Companion. I think you all will enjoy it. She even mentions and talks about the very first Ladies' Day in 1995. That was a treat to read. And so, Sister Anu, I will hand it over to you. Sai Ram.
Respected elders, brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to you all. The Vedas declare, Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. God is a phenomenon that we can't describe with words. Our mind cannot fathom this phenomenon called God. Swami himself would say, I cannot be explained. I can only be experienced. He would say, Anubhavinchu, Anandinchu. Experience me and derive bliss. And each of us experience him in our own unique way. On this auspicious full moon day of Raksha Bandhan and Avanyavatam, I'm truly, truly honored to be given this opportunity to share my experiences with you all. As Sister mentioned, I was fortunate to be born into a family that was already devoted to Swami. My mother was the first in the family to come to Swami. And for her, faith was instant. Literally, as they say, she saw and she was conquered. She had Swami's darshan and she knew he was God. Now, for the rest of the family, they were drawn to Swami subsequently. My maternal grandfather, he worked at Southern Railways. It was a simple, humble, small They lived in a very small home, very simple. As Swami would say, simple living, higher thinking. Like that, it was a very simple, humble home. And my grandfather was a devout follower of Shankaracharya, following the Shankara Madam. When he went and saw Swami, he felt that strong pull towards Swami. But despite that, he felt that, am I dishonoring my own Guru, Mahaperiyava, by seeking another Guru? These were some of the thoughts he had. And as these thoughts came to his mind, there was a picture of Mahaperiyava on the wall, a black and white picture, and Vibhuti started appearing, manifesting in that picture. And he said, Swami, I'm not testing you, I'm not testing you. It was as if Mahaperiyava himself sent him to Swami. And this experience definitely helped him develop more faith in Swami. My grandmother, she was a very simple and pious woman. All she knew was doing her chores, serving her husband and children. She didn't even go to school much. She got married at a very, very young age. She was once having a conversation, a very casual conversation with the family. The children were there, husband, and she's telling them, look at this kumkum that is appearing from this Rajarajeshwari Amman goddess picture. It looks like color podi. Those are the words she used. Color podi madri irukku, she said. So color podi is like rangoli powder. It's very fine and you get this bright red sindoor color. And she said, this color I cannot distribute to Sumangalis, to married women in the neighborhood. Kumkumam should be, that arakka color, that deep maroon color, haldi kumkum mix. That's the color it should be. No sooner did she finish making that statement. I mean, picture this in your mind's eye. I haven't seen this. This happened years before I was born. When my mother and her aunts describe it, I feel like I'm seeing it in my mind's eye. Imagine you may have seen color lighting in Niagara Falls, in Vrindavan Gardens. Imagine kumkum is falling in one color, an orangish red color. Then all of a sudden the color changes and it falls in maroon color. That's exactly what happened. Like the Swami was showing that he was a witness. He was a Sarvantaryami and he was witnessing everything and participating in every conversation in the home. One morning, my mother and her sisters were doing some chores around the house, washing the vessels, washing the clothes. And while they were doing this, my mother had mentioned, this was just a casual conversation between sisters. And my mother mentioned to her younger sister, she said, there's this wooden chair in our small altar room. It's taking up a lot of space and that whole area is looking very cramped. Slowly, devotees are starting to come from, people are getting to hear that we're doing bhajans. They had a samiti in their home. So it's very cramped in there. Should we move the chair out? And then the younger sister said, yes, Jaya, that's a good idea. Let's move the chair out. So they finished this conversation. They would keep the puja room locked because a lot of miracles would take place. They wanted to make sure children from the neighborhood don't come and do anything or play any mischief. So it would be locked except when they're doing the puja or offering aarti. So that morning they go in, they open the puja room, and the statue of Shirdi Baba, which was in one of the lower shelves, is now sitting on top of this wooden chair, covered with a mound of vibhuti on the head and on Baba's lap and on the fabric that was spread on the chair. It was as if Baba was saying, don't take this chair, I need it here. I need the chair to be here. One Christmas day, this was in the early 60s, my mother expressed a desire to have bhajans at home. My grandfather, a staunch Brahmin who did not miss his Sandhya ritual even one day. In fact, today I was thinking of my grandfather a lot as I was reflecting on what are some stories to share with all of you. Today is Avani Avatam, tomorrow Gayatri Japam. My grandfather would have spent all day tomorrow doing Gayatri Japam. All his life, I've seen him not miss a single day of doing his Sandhya ritual. Even when he was wheelchair bound, he would drag himself, go to the countertop and do the Sandhya Vandanam. For a man like that, a staunch Brahmin like that, who was ritualistic even, as some would say, for him to immediately listen to my mother and say, oh, you want to have bhajans on Christmas Day? It's a noble desire. I will support it. He took his cycle. He went to the nearby store to buy a picture of Jesus Christ. And he brought home a picture of Jesus Christ with the Sacred Heart. I feel this is the Vishala Hridayam that Swami wanted us to have, right? The expansion, the big heart that he wanted us to have. So that day, the family had bhajans on Christmas Day. And as was the tradition, when they went in to offer Aarti, this picture of Christ, the Sacred Heart picture, again, picture this in your mind's eye. I do that every time I share. That's the beauty. That's the special part about sharing experiences with Swami. Each time you share, you relive, you go back to that moment and you connect with Swami. Imagine this picture having a full dusting of, thick dusting of vibhuti, and with a finger, Swami has written Tamil Om and a cross is drawn on this picture. Now, you may have seen if cars are parked outside, if there's a lot of pollen or dust from the road, you would see a film of dust. And imagine sometimes children like to scribble on that. That is how it looked, a dusting of vibhuti with this written. It was as if my mother says, Swami was saying, Yammadamum Sammadam, all religions are one and the same. And this was way before the Sarvadharma symbol. Swami had not even given the Sarvadharma symbol. There was no Sarvadharma stupa. In fact, there were very few Sarvadharma bhajans in those days. But for the family to want to do this on Christmas Day, it's very special, very cherished experience that they shared with me. So this way, Swami made a personal connection with every single member in the family. And all of them were actively involved in the organization. They were doing Swami's work in the organization and outside. And their home became a samiti. It was a Sai center. I would like to now share a picture from the first All India conference. This was an All India conference of office bearers of the Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization. This event was held in Swami's Divine Presence at Abbotsbury, Chennai. This was in 1967. This is a zoomed out picture. It's hard to pinpoint, but my grandfather and my aunt, my mom's immediate younger sister, they're both in this picture. They were both office bearers in the organization. In this picture, which was in the next picture, which you'll see, this was also taken during the first All India conference. Right next to Swami, seated on the floor, is my mother. In those days for Prashanti Seva, Swami himself handpicked the volunteers. Like those who would like to be have an opportunity to be chosen as volunteers would sit in a group, and Swami would come and individually pick volunteers like that. My mother shares that one time she had had chicken pox. Before she could be released by the doctors, she tried to go sit in the group. Swami said, "Hey," and he made her go away, and he allowed her to come back only after she had passed those many days of being in isolation. So Swami would handpick the volunteers. They were not called Sevadals then. They were called volunteers. This is a picture of Swami with the volunteers during that conference. Swami took the family through, as the different stages. He would call it the 4 cars: Chamatkar, Sanskar, Paropakar, leading to Sakshatkar. He drew them with his miracles, and he refined their hearts over time with his hearts and minds, with his teachings. And he was slowly prodding them along the path of seva, selfless service, to ultimately lead them to self-realization. Swami says that we should always cultivate the habit of thinking of him when things are going well. Only then will we remember him in our final moments. And my grandfather, I've seen him personally follow this throughout his life. It was always Deva Chintana. My grandfather, my grandmother, and my eldest aunt, who was affected by polio, in their final moments, all 3 of them only remembered Swami. Though they were surrounded by family, by children, grandchildren, sisters, they almost withdrew. It's almost as if the senses withdrew, and the only thing they could think of was Swami. As Swami would say, Anayasena maranam vina dainena jivanam. During your lifetime, you should never depend on anyone. Swami gave them that financial independence too. We've shared some of that in the Eternal Companion. Coming to my journey, my earliest memory of Swami is having his darshan in Chennai. This was in the 80s. Sundaram was constructed in the early 80s. So I remember seeing Swami in Sundaram and in Abbotsbury. This was a huge place that was used for, Swami would give his discourses there and devotees would come. They would have shamyanas erected. It was just a beautiful, I still remember, if I close my eyes, I can picture exactly how the seating arrangements and everything was. And I still remember very clearly when I first saw Swami, I think there are no words to describe it, but in the English language, awestruck may come somewhere close to that. And I was literally hooked. I was just this charming, attractive, beautiful form. And Swami would just walk. It was as if he was gliding, and the way his robe would flow. And I would be very curious to see how was he able to walk with that flowy robe? as a child, I was just so enamored by that. And to watch him seek his devotees out and ask them, what can I do? Do you have a letter for me? Blessing them, creating vibhutis for someone, patting elderly people. He would go and pat them like they were children. They would become children in front of Swami. Seeing all this, it made a huge impact on me. And even at that young age, I knew that this was God. My mother subsequently enrolled me in Bal Vikas, and this was at the residence of Sri Venkatamuni and Srimati Sishilamma. Some of you old-time devotees may know them. Their house was in a place called Venus Colony in Alvarpet. For those of you who are from the Chennai area, you might know Swami in those days, in the 60s, he would visit Chennai often, and he would actually stay in their home. This was way before the Perambur Samiti or Sundaram was constructed. So Swami would stay at the residence of Sri Venkatamuni and Srimati Sushilamma, and he would stay for several weeks in a row. And my mother and her family, they were very fortunate. They lived in Vanarapeta, an area called Washermanpet. From there, they would go to Alvarpet to have Swami's darshan. And they would have to leave very early in the morning to make it in time for darshan, that they would actually walk the distance because public transportation was not available. They did not have a car. They did not even have a landline phone with them at that time. They would actually walk to go and have Swami's darshan there. After my mother was married, and when we were living with my father in our home, we lived in an area called Annanagar. This was Chennai Nagar, Annanagar area. From there to Alvarpet, it's a good hour and a half bus journey, and we have to change 2 buses. I remember my mother enrolled me in Balvikas at their house, at Sri Venkatamuni Garu's house, because those were her memories of seeing Swami there. In fact, our classes used to be held in the upper floor, where it was Swami's interview room. There was a divan for Swami. Swami would sit there and give interviews. And that's where our classes were held. I remember making those trips, and so many wonderful memories from my Balvikas days. Our gurus would compose and teach us devotional songs that we would offer to Swami when he visited Chennai. One of the songs that is still very, very clear in my mind is in Tamil. I'll just sing a few lines of that. I remember it very well to this day. And in this song, we are just inviting everybody. For those of you who don't follow Tamil, we are saying, Ellorum Varangalin, everybody come, join, and let us sing Swami's name. Swami is going to be with us and bless us. A few lines. Ellorum Varangalin, Ellorum Varangalin, Shri Sai Namam Solla, Solla, Ellorum Varangalin. Sai என்றொரு தரம் சொன்னாலும் போதுமே, சாயி என்றொரு தரம் சொன்னாலும் போதுமே, சாயி நாமத்தால் நம்பினை அகலுமே, சாய்ராம் 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 என்று சொல்ல சொல்ல எல்லோரும் வாருங்களே. So these are the kind of songs that I grew up learning. I would attend bhajans at Sundaram on Thursdays and Sundays, and our own Samiti in Tirumangalam, that area. And slowly over time, I learned that, Swami has a college in Anantapur, and I developed an interest. The interest actually was sown when I went for Prashanti Seva with my mother. This was late 80s, 89, 90 time frame. So when my mother would do Prashanti Seva with the Tamil Nadu Sevadals, and their turn would come in the month of May. So I accompanied my mother. At that time, I was a pre-Sevadal, not quite old enough to be a Sevadal, youth member. So I was a pre-Sevadal. I remember I was given security duty in one of the West blocks. My mother had canteen duty. After our month-long Seva, we were taken to Vrindavan for Swami's darshan, because Swami was in Vrindavan at that time. He didn't want the devotees to be inconvenienced. They would come in large crowds to Parthi, where it's very hot. So Swami would spend the summer months in Vrindavan and Kodai for the devotees, not for himself. So after we finished the service, we were taken in buses to see Swami in Vrindavan. And when we went there, I had, unbeknownst to my mother, I had written a letter to Swami asking for his permission to join his college, because I'd met some of the students who had come to give their entrance examination, which usually falls in the month of May. And I wanted that opportunity of, close proximity of darshan to Swami. So I thought this is a good way, and when you're also getting an education. My mother did not even know about this. We reached Vrindavan and we were given seating in front of the Kalyana Mandap. So when Swami came out of Trai, we would be to his right. Just moments before darshan, I happened to be in the front row, very excited, waiting with my letter to give to Swami. The seating arrangement was changed, and from the first row, I ended up being moved to the very last row. So I was now right in front of the door to the Kalyana Mandapam, from being right in front. I was disappointed, but I kept praying. I said, Swami, Swami, please, I want to have this opportunity to see you and offer this letter. Swami came out for darshan. He passed us. He looked at the group, the Sevadals. He blessed us, gave Abhaya Hasta. He went and gave darshan. This was before Sai Ramesh Hall was built. So Swami went around, gave darshan, men's side, women's side. And we were waiting. We were wondering, where is Swami? We are not able to see him in the darshan ground. Where is Swami? All of a sudden, I hear a hush. And the door behind me opens. And Swami is standing there. And he's right there in front of me. I take advantage of that opportunity and touch his feet. I touched his feet for several minutes, actually. It wasn't until later that I realized what happened. Swami gave darshan, went into the boys' hostel. For those of you who are familiar with the layout of Vrindavan Ashram, just try to picture this in your mind's eye. Swami is giving darshan, enters the boys' hostel. He came through the back door and entered through the side door of Kalyana Mandapam to look at some arrangements there. Swami actually has performed several weddings there. During my student days, I've actually watched the wedding of Sampath sir's daughter. Sampath sir was our vice chancellor, Professor Sampath. We were invited, we got to see his daughter's wedding. It was performed in that Kalyana Mandap. So Swami went in there to make sure all the arrangements were ready for a function that was to happen there. And he exited through the front door. And there I was seated right there, touched his feet, and I got to offer the letter to Swami. Swami blessed and gave me Pad Namaskar. When I look back at my journey, I feel this was a defining moment in my journey with Swami, and that sort of cemented my relationship with him. There I was in the front row. I was moved to the very back. Swami willed it, and I was in the front row again. So when God wills, he can catapult you from anywhere to anywhere. That is something that has stuck with me till now. And as a student, I was blessed with several opportunities to see and interact with Swami. He would say, Darshanam Papanashanam, Sambhashanam Sankatanashanam, Sparshanam Karma Vimochanam. When we have his darshan, when we ask in his beautiful form and take that, soak that in, all our sins are destroyed at that point. And when we have that very special blessing of having a dialogue with him, to have a conversation with him, listen to his nectarine words, it destroys all our sorrows, all our griefs. And we are blessed with the opportunity of sparshan when we get to touch his feet, when we get to touch him. All our karmic bonds, we are liberated from them. Very, very fortunate to have had those opportunities. During my student years, this was in 1994, a Spirit of Unity concert was arranged in Purnachandra Auditorium. Several musicians, stalwarts came and performed for Swami. MS Amma was also in that group that performed for Swami. So Swami it was a very busy time for Swami, and we were instructed by our warden not to extend our hands and try to give letters or try to get Swami's attention and, tell him about our troubles or ask for this and that. And I had no intention of going against the warden's word, but I had this habit of always, in those days, books were allowed for darshan. I would always carry a book, either a Satcharitra or Tapovanam hadn't come out yet. So I would have a book or one of the Vahinis, and I would always keep a clean white handkerchief for Swami and a letter for Swami. So when this was announced, I decided I am not going to extend my hand and offer it to Swami, but as was my habit, I took it in for darshan. The previous day, MS Amma had given a concert. So the next day when Swami came for darshan, he made a beeline to her. And this was when Swami was staying in the Purnachandra Auditorium. So he came towards the ladies' side. He enters through the ladies' side, and MS Amma was to his right in the VIP block. He made a beeline to her, materialized Vibhuti. And those were the days where there wasn't an entourage behind Swami. It was just Swami walking, gliding and giving darshan. He gave Vibhuti to MS Amma and walked straight towards the Anantapur student block. I wasn't in the first line, but I was on the aisle. So when Swami came, he came directly to me and he pointed to the book in my hand And he said, take it out. For a moment, I waited. I knew that Swami's hands still had some vibhuti in it. I knew he needed a handkerchief to wipe. But I hesitated, but since I knew Swami needed one, I took it and gave it to Swami. Swami cleaned his hand and tossed it back at me. And then he pointed to the book again and said, as if to say, give me what you have inside. And for a moment, actually, I had forgotten. But then I realized a little bit later that Swami was asking for the letter that I had inside. There was a little bit of fear if I'll get called out, if I'll get scoldings from the teachers. But Swami himself was asking. At that point, all bets are off. You do as the Lord commands you to do. I took out the letter, offered it to Swami. Swami took it and he appeared very happy. He told me to take Pada Namaskar. And he just went around the Anantapur block and continued the rest of the darshan. For a long time, I wondered, what was so special about that letter? Yes, he needed a handkerchief. He could have taken it from anyone. But what was so special about this letter? And many years later, when I read the Sathya Sai Vahini, I understood why. Because in that letter, all I had written was, Dearest Mother Sai, thank you for all of your blessings. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. At that time, Swami hadn't changed the prayer to samasta loka yet. So I just written Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. That's all there was in that letter. If you go to Sathya Sai Vahini, there's a chapter that's dedicated to prayer. In that, there's a passage which is called Credentials for Proper Prayer. There, Swami writes that 3 types of activity reach God and earn His grace. He says it's activity not prompted by any personal desire, any activity that's emanating from unselfish love, and number 3, a prayer arising from a pure heart. And he says these are the items to which God pays heed directly. And they reach God directly, instantly. The rest, when we pray for Swami education for my child, good job placement for my son, or a bigger house, all these material things that we pray for, or I should get along with this person, or Swami, do this for me, do that for me, those kind of prayers, Swami says, the rest, they are concerns of deities who preside over their disposal. These the 3 kinds of prayers, only they reach Swami directly. And I felt like, maybe Swami was saying my prayer may have been like that. Maybe it was truly unselfish, it was filled with love, and it was free from any taint of attachment. I did not want to gain anything from that, and maybe that was a lesson I took away. And from then on, every time I pray, I have never not chanted Samasta Loka. And in the Samasta Loka, the beautiful thing is, we are also contained in that. When we pray for all the worlds, we are also part of that world. We too get the same blessings. Our training in the hostel and college was to offer everything to Swami, undertake all activities that will please him, that make him happy. Sarva karma bhagavat pritirtham. That was the motto. Everything we were told, study well, it will make Swami happy. Wake up early and don't miss Suprabhatam, don't miss Omkaram, it will make Swami happy. Everything, teachers would say, this would make Swami happy. And our entire schedule, everything was prepared by Swami. What time we wake up, to drinking the milk at night and going to bed. Everything, the entire schedule was prepared by Swami. I have a few pictures. It's a picture collage of some moments we had with Swami. So I was there between 1992 and 1995. I did my undergrad there. On the top left, you will see it's from the summer course in 1992. Swami took a group photo with each class. As he once said, Swami was the constant. Each group was coming and going. And this is the picture he took with the MPC group, Math, Physics and Chemistry. I'm there right. I don't know if you're able to see, I'm to Swami's right. To Swami's right there. And the picture on the bottom left is this was taken during Guru Purnima time in 1992. I'm seated there. You see me slightly raised with the tray of items to get blessed. This was, my birthday falls around Guru Purnima time. So I had a tray of toffees, akshantalu, and some other items. Those days, Swami would take cloves. I would have cloves, elaichis, some few things like that for Swami to bless. And when Swami came out, he looked at me and a girl sitting next to me, and he said in Tamil, Appa amma vandirkala, good morning sollu. Have your parents come? Say good morning to them. I had no idea, but when I left the building, when I exited through the women's entrance of the mandir, there's a short flight of stairs, 3 or 4 steps. When I climbed up, by the trees, I saw my parents waiting with their bags and baggage. They had come to surprise me because I was very homesick being away from them. And the sari I'm wearing there is the sari Swami gave during that summer course. That too is a beautiful story. Swami had said he will not give Padanamskar, but he will just distribute the saris. But I was trying to, trick Swami by accidentally trying to drop the sari and touch his feet. But Swami caught me red-handed and he held on to the sari and never let it go. That's the sari I'm wearing in that picture on the bottom left. To the right of that is a picture that was taken inside the mandir. This was one of the sessions that Swami had invited the Anantapur girls in, and this is Swami inside the mandir. I'm again right by Swami, that picture. And the large picture you see to the right was taken in Purnachandra auditorium during one of the sessions. I'm again sitting with some items to get blessed, and Swami's looking to see what is in that tray to get blessed. And next I have it's a picture collage. It's from our final year interview with Swami. Every batch, when the outgoing batch is ready to leave the portals around March time frame, the school year ends in around April, so around March time frame, we would go as a group from Anantapur Campus to Parthi. We would do certain sadhanas, Maunavratam, chanting Gayatri, doing special sadhana, and we would go and pray to Swami for a chance for an interview. And this was our final year's interview with Swami. It was just Swami and us inside the mandir. He had called us inside the mandir. You can see how Swami himself closes the door. Nobody else was allowed. No Sevadal, nobody attending to Swami. Nobody was allowed. It was just the outgoing batch of Anantapur students and a handful of teachers. Swami himself closed the door. No microphones, as you can see. Swami sitting very casually, like a mother would give advice to the daughter before she sends the daughter away, either to study or to marry the daughter off and send away. Like that, Swami was so loving, like a loving mother and a caring father. He gave us a lot of advice, and we had prepared a few songs for Swami. Swami graciously allowed us to sing those songs for him. Again, no microphones. He was enjoying the songs. He was such a loving mother and father. You can see our warden, Dr. Jayalakshmi Gopinath. We would call her Jayama Madam. She was translating Swami's words for those who could not follow Telugu. We were actually one of the lucky batches to get an interview with Swami for our outgoing batch. Not all the batches had that luck. Talking about luck, I'm reminded of something that I'd like to share. This was after I had left the portals of Swami's Institute, and I was getting ready to leave from Chennai. I was working in Chennai at that time in a bank, and I took some time off, and I wanted to go to Parthi to do seva as a security duty. What security can we provide to the Lord, who provides security to the entire world? But for the most part, it was crowd control, helping with seating, making sure that people don't go and fall on Swami, just maintaining some discipline and decorum at the ashram. So as I was getting ready to leave, my father stopped me and he said, Anu, I met with a numerologist, and he said that the letters in your name, ANURADHA, add up to the number 8. And he said 8 is not a lucky number. He said 8 is not a good number. And he wants you to change the spelling. You can add an extra A here or an extra, vowel here or there. But I had said, Appa, I'm going to see Swami. When Swami's grace is there, we don't need to worry about numerology. As Swami would say, when my anugraha is there, the navagrahas cannot affect you. So I had said that to my father. Very, very casual conversation between a father and daughter, and I left for Parthi. When I was doing security duty the following day, Swami was coming towards the lady's side. He looked at me, and again at the lady. He actually looked at the lady sitting next to me, and he's telling her in Telugu. And this lady also is Tamil speaking. She doesn't understand Telugu. And Swami's telling her, Evru chepparu 8 lucky number ledani. Who said 8 is not a lucky number? 8 is a lucky number. Like he was declaring 8 is a lucky number. And as he was saying that, he gave a quick glance to me as if to say, are you getting the message? Do you understand? This is meant for you too. A lot of times that happens, when Swami is giving a message, he wants you to pick up that same message. So he was giving me that glance as if to say, make sure, pay attention. There is no need to change anything. You have my anugraha. So needless to say, I did not change the spelling. It continues to be ANURADHA to this day. So I just mentioned that when Swami's anugraha is there, the navagrahas cannot affect us. I must share this story at this point. In April of 1993, I had just finished my first year in Anantapur Campus, and it was summer break. I was so smitten by Swami, so enamored by Swami. And here we were in Anantapur Campus, only taken to Parthi for festivals. We could see him for just a few hours. I had this hunger for Swami, and I'm so thankful that to this day my mother supports that. That, as Swami would say, pitchy for God is the best pitchy to have. The best madness to have is madness for God. It's most beneficial and least harmful, he would say. So I'd written to my mother and I said, Amma, can we go to Kodaikanal? They're saying Swami will be in Kodaikanal and apparently darshan, so you can have from very, very close quarters, and being a student, there will be priority seating. Can we go there? And my mother supported my decision. She said, let's go. So summer vacation started. I went back home, literally just had time to do my laundry, pack a few things. And the next day we headed out. We took a car, one of our friends, she brought her car and her driver, and a few of us, all ladies, we took this road trip to Kodai. I have a slide to just kind of, for you to picture the distance and everything. Near a town called Dindakal, which is about 57 miles from Kodai, when we were going through what is called a bypass curve, a bus came and hit our car. Oncoming traffic, bus came and hit our car. And thankfully, I was the only person injured. Just moments before the accident, I made my mother move from the corner behind the driver's seat. I made her move in a moving car and I switched to that seat. And within a few minutes, the accident took place and I was injured. Even at that time, my mother still tells me, you had the faith, but I was afraid. Apparently, I told her, let us continue on the journey. I'm able to sit. If I sit in this particular angle, it's not hurting. Let us just continue, take a different vehicle and continue and go and see Swami. If you're fortunate, Swami might even give some guidance and, maybe materialize Vibhuti and say, everything will be fine. These are the thoughts that go through your mind as a naive teenager. But my mother said, no, I have certain responsibilities as a mother. She took me to a hospital nearby and she admitted, and they took a lot of x-rays and they said she will need surgery. She's had a fracture of her right pelvic bone. But my mother did not want to have the surgery there. So we drove back to Chennai. It was in St. Isabel Hospital that I was admitted, and my surgery took place there. While all of this is happening, in the hospital, my mother says, oh, Anu, Swami predicted this. And I said, Amma, what are you talking about? And I should now bring up a picture. This was a drawing that was given to my mother to be offered to Swami. But this happened 6 months before my accident. In the month of October of the previous year, my accident took place in April of 1993. In October of 1992, I am blissfully aware of this. I am in the Anantapur campus. My mother had gone to Parthi, and it was the turn of the Kodaikanal devotees to do Prashanti Seva. They needed help, and my mother happens to be from Tamil Nadu, so she had a scarf with her. She was asked if she can also volunteer, and my mother also did the Sevadal duty, so she was allowed to sit for Pada Namaskar. When she was going for Swami's blessings, a lady offered this to my mother, this drawing to my mother, and said, can you give it to Swami? You're sitting for blessings. And in those days, it was almost guaranteed. It was taken for granted that if you go to Prashanti Seva, Swami will give Vibhuti and give Pada Namaskar. So my mother had carried several letters from other devotees' families. So she said, this is one other envelope. And she took it and she went and sat for blessing. Swami came, gave Pada Namaskar, and he took the pile of letters from her. From the pile of letters, he removed this and he gave it back to my mother, looked deep into her eyes, and Swami said, Theek hai. So his exact words were Pettuko. Theek hai was later to me. He gave it to my mother and said, Pettuko, as in keep it. But he really drew attention, as if to say, pay attention, keep it. I realize we are coming up on time. I'll finish with this story. So he said, Pettuko. My mother did not understand why Swami said this, but she knew. So if Swami said it, there's a deep meaning to it. So she took it and she asked this lady, Swami said, Pettuko, can I keep it? And this lady said, yeah, keep it. So she had brought it home and kept it by the altar. The next day when she was looking at it, she realized it's not just a drawing. There is something inside it. And she realized it's an envelope. When she opened it, you'll see the next, what was inside this. It's actually a 3-part drawing, and you'll zoom in. There's a zoomed in picture of that to the right. You will see on top a young woman laying on a hospital bed, and you see surgeons around her. There's a blood transfusion, Swami's grace. And it's as if the deepam the Jyoti is leaving this woman. And in the next picture, which is in the middle, you will see as if life force is coming back into this woman's body. She's recovering, she's on the stretcher. So my mother remembered this and she said, Anu, Swami predicted this 6 months ago. And in fact, she even tried to show it to the surgeons, the orthopedic surgeons, and said, look, Swami said he's taking care. We don't need to have surgery. And they tried to tell my mother, Amma, Swami is saying the surgeons allow us to do our job. So Swami had predicted this. And that was when we go through troubles, just being a Sai devotee doesn't mean that we won't go through any troubles. For some, it might be financial. For some, it might be family problem. For some, it might be health. For some, it might be a combination of everything. But when I went through this, Swami definitely, with his grace, reduced the pain. And he helped me heal fast. And I was able to attend summer course, the last 2 days of summer course. And at that time, I offered this back to Swami, this time with the inside the drawing to Swami. Swami took it from me and he said, "Theek hai." Those were the words. To my mother, it was Pettuko, and to me, he said, "Theek hai." And just by saying "Theek hai," he had made everything theek. He had made everything all right. Once Professor Sampath said, "Swami, you're an ocean of love." Even in our songs, we sing, "Tu pyar ka sagar hai." Swami said, no, the ocean is deep. Yes, it's vast. It's deep. But even the ocean has a shore. You can see where it begins, where it ends. Swami's love is beyond all of that, is limitless. That is Swami's love, and I got to experience it. Even when I was going through this trauma, I experienced that. Swami once asked his students, what is the rarest phenomenon? And they took some guesses. One said Sakshatkara, and he said, everybody can get Sakshatkara. You don't need anything special for that. And then they realized, Swami, please tell us, you only tell us. And he said, the rarest phenomenon is to be a contemporary of the avatar. To walk the earth the same time the avatar does. Even rarer than that is to know the avatar. My colleagues at work do not know that the avatar walked the earth when we were around. And Swami says, even rarer it is to love the avatar. I even have some family members who know about Swami's existence but do not have love for him. Swami says the rarest it is to get a chance to serve the Lord in whatever capacity, whatever way possible. In his summer course discourse on 27th May 1995, Swami said, and my Telugu is not very great, but I'll make an attempt. He says, Chikkina saini vakkaleyaka chakka chesukondi. Poyina chikkadu ee partishuni pada sevayandi. Bhaktini ichi shaktilo munchi mukti cherchunandi. Eka manasuto nammi సాయిని ఎంచి కొలువబోండి. ఇతరుల మాటల నింపుగా నమ్మి కొంపతీయకండి. Where will you find this kind of a where will we find this kind of a God who comes down to our level and explains it like he does to a small child? He says, you have gotten this rare opportunity. Use it well. Don't neglect this opportunity. And if you lose this opportunity to serve the feet of the Lord, it will never come again. He gives you devotion. He gives you the strength. He takes you to liberation. On this auspicious day of Raksha Bandhan in Avaniavatam, I pray that we may use this opportunity that Swami has given us to be his contemporaries, to know him, to love him, and to have an opportunity to serve him. I pray that we may all follow the path that Swami has given us and engage in actions that please him. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, sister, you ended in such an emotional, such a beautiful note. This was so beautiful. I think you took us down like a memory lane, starting from your grandfather's time and looking at those pictures. Of course, as crowds came more and more, you can never find such close proximity like that. Such beautiful stories. And a couple of things you just mentioned that are so important. You made a statement. You said, when God wills, he can catapult you from anywhere to anywhere. That is that one sentence, I think, summarizes everything. And you are so correct. You thought you were in the back and you are in the front. And that's what he does with us. He thinks he pulls us from a nothing to an everything. And of course, you said the most important thing, we being contemporaries of Sathya Sai Baba and the opportunity to serve him. We are given so many opportunities around us. And I think all Sai devotees everywhere, the first instinct is to serve, serve, serve. And it starts, of course, with our family, and we go on and you serve. So you just touched on such a beautiful thing. And you're right, today is a very auspicious Purnima day. And on such a beautiful day, you gave us a wonderful, wonderful message reminding us how fortunate we are. Thank you so much, sister. This was amazing. And again, please, everyone, go to Satya Sai Eternal Companion. Read Sister Anu's article. It's a beautiful article. Thank you.